While we're doing prayers, I'll just read a prayer from the funeral card for Bill Siegfried, who died on July 2nd. You want to do that? July
Yeah.
6th, 1966. You are not forgotten, loved one, nor will you ever be. As long as life and memory last, we will remember thee. We miss you now, our hearts are sore. As time goes by, as we miss you more, your loving smile, your gentle face, no one can fill your vacant place. Okay, we've spent a lot of time talking about Bell Siegfried, but I just think we need to remember him now. And also,
Three of him.
He was a smoker. My job was to clean the house, and we had ashtrays in those years all over. Every room had an ashtray, and he smoked these Camel cigarettes, and there was always a container full of ashes and stubs of the street. That was one memory I had, and he was a reader at night. He must have read during his going to sleep or staying up reading in his bed, because he had a lot of different magazines under his bed. And I wondered what they were: Liberty and Saturday Evening Post and magazines like that. He must have kept up on history and everything. And I was taking piano lessons, and I was supposed to practice so much every day. When he was in the house, he did not want me to practice piano, so I couldn't practice whenever I wanted to or when I had time. I had to keep quiet while he was in the house. And another memory was he carried a lunchbox. My mom packed him a lunchbox. He was a bricklayer, and he had a lunchbox every day. And he would come home carrying that bunch, bring it into the pantry. If I was around the kitchen, or I'd always remember him coming home from his job in the afternoon. And another thing was he had a car, and he used the garage. My dad did not have a car, but Bill had a car, and it was in the garage in the backyard, the end of the backyard. And he would, some of the most time, park it in front of the house, so it was all ready to go whenever he wanted to jump in and go someplace. And he was a very active person outside of work. I don't know where he was going, but or who he was with. He was a graduate of McKinley High School, so he had many of friends all through his uh, student life. And he was going with one girl for a long time. She was a beautiful girl, and something happened to her as far as her health declined, and she did die real young, and he never got over that. So he never took another. He never had another fiance or anything. So when went home, when he went to the army, I don't know whether he was drafted or or if he volunteered. I do not know that, but I know that he was a truck driver carrying supplies. He's always said he was a good driver, and he he was on the island of Okinawa. I always liked that word. I would say that's where my brother. That's why my brother served in the army. So
it's exactly right.
and Chuck, do you have a card about my sister-in-law, Kathleen, Clemmy's first wife? She was she died the same day, July 2nd, but I don't remember what year.
Well, let me look her up. That'd be
Um,
Kathleen Siegfried is,
Kathleen Lavelle, Siegfried,
yeah.
Kathleen. Yeah, July 2nd was there for both of them.
That is, we were talking about Kathleen Siegfried. I looked for
Yeah.
her funeral card. I couldn't find one, but that's her first communion.
Uh,
I thought I just
Now,
showed
she
that.
was Clem's daughter. Is that who she was?
this one is
Yes, that's
Kathleen.
correct.
Or Clem's first wife? Kate was his first wife, right?
Right. Kathleen.
So
Kathleen
Kathleen was
Lavelle.
named after her then, right?
It must be that way.
Yeah.
Kathleen and then Bobby. The two children. But
Well, that's sad that she died on July 2nd. She couldn't have been very old if she was Clem's daughter. She would have been like Chuck's generation.
no, I didn't mean to say that she died. I meant to say Clem's first wife, Kathleen Lavelle. Lavelle is her name. She had cancer, and he cared for her at home until she died. He never put her in a nursing home or anything, but he had nurses around the clock taking care of her at home. And my mom would take a bus out there quite a few days a week. I remember that, just to cook supper for Clemmy when he would come home from work, because it was an upset household. There wasn't much for him.
Now, they lived in Maslin, right?
They lived in Canton.
Oh,
Clem's second wife, Thelma, lived in Maslin. And when he married her, he sold the house in Canton and moved it over to Maslin to, to use the house. And his second wife is Thelma. She had
I
been
remember
married.
Thelma.
She had
I
been
remember
married.
Thelma.
Thelma had been married to somebody who also died, and there was a big house and an office building and quite a complex there where she rented out part of the buildings. So that's where he moved over there to Maslin with her.
and then they lived into their 90s, so they lived a really good long life together. That's nice.
Right, 25. I remember their 25th wedding anniversary. So that was his second wife. She had a hard death. I mean, she had a mental disease plus cancer, and it went into her bones, and she suffered a lot.
Oh no.
My brother Clemmy had a um, problem with his breathing, and he had to go to Florida because of the winters were too hard for him, so that's why they went to Bradenton. Plus, he loved baseball, and they had free free access to the practicing. So same street that they lived on, he could walk to the ballpark every day while they were in Florida and watch the practicing. So he kept that liking for baseball all his life, practically all his life, because when he was in the nursing home at the end of his life, he was always uh, dedicated to the Cleveland Indians and always looking for the schedule. What's the schedule? He wanted to know what time everything was going to be on. I don't know if somebody gave him a schedule or not, but I know when I tried to visit him, that's what I would do is watch the baseball game. I watched it while he was in his bed, and I remember he wanted a amigo so he could drive around, and they would not give him an amigo. I always felt so bad that he couldn't have one. See.
like an electric cart. They wouldn't give him one.
No, they said it was
Bad.
at that time in those years it was a policy because of the traffic in the hallways and too dangerous for everybody to the patient might be driving into somebody else.
Oh,